Welcome back to the Indy Sooner and the JP and Trav show. It's your boy JP, and I'm joined by the homie Trav. Trav, how you feeling today, brother?
Man, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted, but I'm good. I'm really good.
Man, what's your week been like?
Busy. So Saturday, I was in. So Friday, I was in Norman, obviously, um, doing the radio show. That went great. And then went to see women's tennis that evening because women's tennis was playing at home in the Sweet 16 against Stanford. Um, Coach Cohen had never beat Stanford as a player or a coach. Stanford, obviously, one of the elite tennis programs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So went by after the radio show and saw them just dominate Stanford on the way to the Elite Eight. So they will actually be this Friday competing in Champaign, Illinois, the University of Illinois facilities in the Elite Eight. So I'll definitely be keeping up with that. But and Saturday rolls around, I end up flying to Denver to go see Red Rock or go see Turnpike Troubadours at Red Rock. So flying Saturday, walk all around Saturday. Sunday night is the concert, and then Monday we come back, fly back, and then yesterday was at the PGA, today was at the PGA, tomorrow I'll be at the PGA, and then tomorrow night I'm catering a Gentry's graduation party, so you can catch up with him and the family and whatnot. And then I've got my first recruiting showcase as a member of the media. So Sean Cooper down at C4, he does a great job. Obviously, names you'll recognize like Ravian Larry, the 2025 running back, will be a 5-star, I'm sure. He's out of Idabel. He's a stud. You've obviously got guys like Zadavian Sims. You've got Bai Jobe. You've got OU commit Eric McCarty. Got a bunch of these guys from kind of the Texoma area. So like East Texas and then like Durant and things like that. So ought to be a lot of fun. So I'm going down there Saturday to do that, and then be back Sunday for more golf. So, what about you, man? You busy?
Man, the golf connoisseur this week.
Hey,
Yeah,
they
no,
don't come very often, so you got to take advantage when they do.
no, I feel that. Yeah, no, I'm thankfully things are winding down a little bit for me on the athletic director tilt. We have our last week of school next Friday. Last baseball game this coming Friday. So, I'm finally starting to wind down a little bit, although, the grind never stops as an AD, especially in the position I'm in. I'm trying to build a program and build a culture. And so, I have a lot of things that I'm trying to put into place. Whereas, like, if I was somewhere else or an assistant AD somewhere else and there was like already these culture things put in place, it wouldn't be as much work. Like, oh, we always do this over the summer. We all but I'm trying to implement these things. So
yeah, you're building the house. You're not buying the house.
correct, which is exhausting, but will definitely be more rewarding for my future to be able to say, at a young age, I built these things myself and everything like that. And I have a passion for it. So I'm excited about it. It'll be a different speed than, just going out to games and having to be out late at night doing different stuff. I'll be meeting with coaches. I'll be doing some different things like going out, AD dinners, different stuff like that.
AD dinners
and stuff like that. Huh?
Fancy pants over here. AD dinners. Hello.
Hey, look, just connecting, right?
There you go.
But yeah, so I mean, on that tilt, that's what I'll be doing, and here in a little bit, I think both of us will get into a little bit of what each of us are going to be doing on the Sooner side. Obviously, most people have seen the media piece that you are doing, but I'll let you talk about that more in depth a little later.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to do, and thanks for everybody who's in here. Continue to like and share. Make sure you like on YouTube so that the algorithm picks it up. Share it on Twitter so that people see it. But one thing we wanted to do tonight, obviously it's just Trav and I. It's been a while since we've done it. We've had lots of guests on here. We've always been the one to try to get people on here to get notarized or notarized. That's the wrong word. To get more notoriety. Even those maybe don't have as much, but also we've been blessed to get a couple guests that are huge. Like we had Josh Pate a couple weeks ago and different things like that. And we've had, different recruits and different stuff like that on here. And so that's the purpose of our show. You guys always know that we're grassroots guys. We got it out the mud for the most part. And so we're fans of the people, and we are a show of the people, and that's where we always want to be, and that's where we want to stay. But anyways, with that being said, one thing we wanted to do tonight is just kind of reminisce and kind of look back on like how this journey started. Some of you have been with us here since the beginning, since we started it. And some of you have joined on, and that's cool. We welcome everybody into the family. The more we grow, but we'll just kind of reminisce, and then we'll share a little bit of exciting news towards the end of that. And then obviously we'll get into our personal things and do our typical Q&A. But Trav, do you remember do you remember our first conversation?
Just in general, you and I, are about the podcast?
Just in general.
Oh man, not full blown conversation. Obviously on Twitter, back and forth. But no, remind me.
So I remember I was leaving the gym, and you had called me. So we had DM'd a couple times. Obviously, we had traded tweets a couple times. But you called me, and I had been doing a couple videos on the channel.
Right.
And you had called me, and we were just talking. But we talked for like an hour. And I think it was then when I knew, like, this is somebody, like, because again, on Twitter, you don't always know. Like, there are only a couple people on Twitter, like, I've gotten more personal with, like, Trey Richard is one of them. I don't think he's here tonight, but he's one that I talk to frequently. Gmo is another one I talk to frequently. But, like, and TB, obviously. But I don't often, I don't try to integrate my personal life all the time, like deeper, unless I feel like I can trust somebody. And so like right off the bat, the fact that we could talk for an hour and like it was genuine conversation, we both were passionate about different things, I think let me know that like, yo, this is like the connection. You were always genuine, and it wasn't like I'm trying to mull one over on you. And you had even given me ideas, and it didn't feel like, some people can give you ideas and you can, it can be taken the wrong way, or they can try to be overbearing. But you weren't like that. You were like, hey, like just in general, I think this was a good thing because I think you saw some potential. And so it made me feel like, man, like that's cool. I'm starting to get my feet wet and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if it was like a week or two later, but I had started to do the live streams. I just said, yo, hop on. And you did. And I think, again, just what we had naturally had on the phone kind of translated to the screen. I think other people saw that too.
Well, and I figured if I took up more of your time on the phone, then it was less time of you quote tweeting Texas 12 follower accounts onto my timeline and putting trolls all over the place. I know everybody in the chat's seen it. When JP used to quote tweet every little 10 follower Texas troll or now Cleveland troll and so I had to take you away from that. And then little did we know it would be a show. And
no, I didn't.
Jamie, it's actually 3, I'm just saying. More tomorrow. But yeah, it was cool. We started talking about your page, and yeah, once it became, hey, do you just want to do this every week? Say sure. God, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And it was in the season. And like, you just think back. And I think again, why people have always rocked with us is because we're always, obviously we did it from like, our laptops and phones and like very grassroots. Like, hey, we're gonna show up. And we've been consistent, like we also haven't we haven't missed. I think that's another piece. Is like
you haven't missed. I will admit I've missed a couple of times.
I mean, but you have reasons. You were sick or you had like an important client. That's it happens. I think the only time I missed is when my daughter was born.
Yeah. So. Oktoberfest got me one time.
I remember that.
That night was insane because I thought I had to leave to do the podcast, right? Well, I didn't know I could do StreamYard from my phone. So there I am at Oktoberfest, and I'm like, okay, I've only got time for like 3 beers, and then I got to go. So, and I think it might have been even 2. So I'm chugging like 9% German beer, Oktoberfest, and I'm like, I'm gonna do these, and then I'm gonna hit the road because I'm gonna get back on the shuttle, and I've got to be on the podcast. Well, I was texting back and forth with you, and he's like, "No, you can do StreamYard from your phone." And I was like, "Well, thank God, because I can't." Like the shuttles were like the timing of them. Like I would have to get all the way back to my laptop, all that kind of stuff. Well, once I found that out, I was like, "Sweet, I'll go ahead and do the podcast." Well, I try, but the signal sucks. I'm over there all the way by the golf carts and porta potties by the entrance, and I'm trying to do the podcast. And I remember it was Nicholas Harbor, I think, had like silent committed, and apparently he's done that to a couple schools now. But Nicholas Harbor was a silent commit that we got like 2 days prior to that. So I was like, hey, it's good things. You know, Nicholas Harbor, all this stuff. You need to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. And then like my phone goes out. So the problem is now I'm good to go. I don't have to go anywhere, but I've already power drank these beers.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had to. So like I was like, oh crap. So naturally I find my friends again, and Tulsa, especially like Oktoberfest, like I know like 100 people there, right? So I'm walking through, especially beer reps, you know, that are in the industry. They're like, "Hey, you want a free beer? You want some beer tickets?" I'm like, "Well, of course, you know, it'd be rude not to." Man, I was feeling it the next day. I was feeling it, but yeah, I think that was like the first one I missed. But
And then you missed the one where you went to the OKC when we had Keegan on. But again, like bigger and better things in some respects, which I don't mind at all. Like
it just happened to fall on a Wednesday, you know. But
yeah,
for the most part, Wednesday's been a great day for us.
yeah, no, and it's worked. And like we talked about the other day, I think, and to this point, you know, we're unique in that we're a live stream on a specific night at a specific time.
Yeah.
And so I think that you know, people have gotten behind that. And, you know, I won't lie, we benefited from definitely from, you know, Riley doing what he did.
I'll tell you what, it was just been a content, it's constant contact, right? It's
Yeah.
not the email company Constant Contact, which I do recommend. They're great. But it's just it's similar to what we saw in Cleveland, you know, from all the Baker content, because all of us, you know, even those of us that ignore most of the trolls or try to, were in there defending our man's honor. And they knew. I mean, we even saw guys like Carnsey that were huge Baker guys, and then he saw how people were, you know, getting all these followers and all this stuff from close to it. It's just whatever the engagement game was. So luckily, we didn't have to lie about anything like a lot of those Cleveland fans did. But yeah, it was. I can't get in the chat, but she's that's my dad. All right. I love you guys too. Hopefully they were under the weather a little bit. So hopefully they're feeling much better. But yeah, we came in at the right time, and part of it was just people need information, right? We would do games and things like that, but that's when it really started popping. So,
yeah,
called you out live. Yeah. Well, and honestly, what's crazy is, so for those of you that have never done StreamYard, off to the right, like on the left, you've got all your screen and what you can see. On the bottom, it's like you're in the show, and all your operational buttons, like your mute and stop camera settings, are all on the bottom. But on the right are all the comments, right? Well, it starts whenever it loads up, like whenever it opens, it starts your toggle on the private chat, you know, screen, and you can chat within the studio. So if we have notes like, hey, I want you to say this, lead in with this, blah, 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 we can chat amongst each other. I didn't know for the first however long that I could read the comments. So all the time he was like, "Oh man, like talking to you guys in the comments," and I couldn't figure out how to work StreamYard. So I just thought he was the only one that could see the comments, and I was like, "Man, this kind of sucks." He's talking to people I don't even know what the hell they're saying. But ever since I clicked that comment button, man, this is it's been a game changer. So
Man, people be in here deep. They be having whole conversations too without us.
it is funny. It is funny when they get off on a tangent and about a recruit or about. I'm surprised it hasn't. I'm surprised it hasn't started about Cozart yet. To be honest,
I know.
I'm
I
amazed we're
know.
16 minutes in and haven't seen the word Cozart yet.
Crazy. But hey, I promise y'all, we gonna talk about that. We gonna get there. But yeah, and I said, guys, like I said before in the chat, if you have a favorite moment from the JP and Trav shows thus far, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll throw it up there. Just as a little bit of memories. Tattoo says his favorite moment is when we brought on they kicked Josh. I'm sure a lot of people like that. And again, you can go make sure you go watch that because that was a great time. That's something that I think you'll be able to watch for a long time. Just hearing him and what he had to talk about. Matt Bingham says his favorite moment is when you called him out live. I don't know if you called him out like in a negative way or if like
Never,
him
never.
up
Too nice.
And that's what happened. I don't know.
Angie's outing me in front of Pops and Mom.
Oh man. Yeah, Joe Castiglione.
Yeah. Nice.
There you go. But yeah, obviously, guys, we'll get to the Q&A question part later, so we'll add that. Now, without further ado, real quick, I think that we'll go ahead and just let you guys know again, with everything that we've done on the JP and Trav show, you guys are the main reason that we do what we do, come here to engage with you guys. Obviously, we love to talk OU football. That's always been the priority since day one, and that won't ever stop either as we continue on this journey. But it is cool to announce that we will be sponsored in this upcoming season starting in August. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that at a later date and kind of give, some more details on that. But, from something that I said as we've recounted, started as friends going and just talking football Wednesday nights to everything that happened with Lincoln leaving and the smokers and spaces and everything like that and how it all kind of intertwined together has led to this point to where somebody believes in us enough to and believes in what we're doing on Wednesday nights enough to sponsor us. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So you will see a bit, some updates, some production updates, a little more. We don't want to get away from our roots of what we're doing, obviously, by any means, but you'll see a bit more structure. Probably in the way we do things a little bit. No obvious changes. I don't think anybody's going to watch and be like, "Man, these guys lost their way." But we'll still be keeping an eye on the chat and all this. I do want to speak to this. Jesse James, please tell me y'all talked about that Saban quote that's doing its rounds on Twitter right now. It's for those of you who don't know. So this is the time of year we're hearing a lot of quotes from a lot of coaches, right? Because as we've seen with the coaches caravan with OU, there's been a tour of a lot of different coaches. This is the pre-media days, right? This is when you go around and it's fundraising season, right? We saw the local or the recent budget, approval of all these improvements, everything like that. That's going to the Board of Regents, right? $500 million combined across all sports, a majority of that being football, obviously, because that's the one that makes all the money. So, anyways, every school's doing that right now, right? This is the time of the year where you get everybody riled up and you get their checkbooks greased and everything like that, and you get them to spend money, right? And nobody in the business is better at it than Mr. Thad Turnipseed. So, anyways, Nick Saban in one of these quotes, and that's where you're seeing like the casual comment from Venables That came from a coach's caravan. We have certain comments that come from coaches' caravans because their job is to rile up the boosters in that area. We have them in Duncan, Houston, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. I think there's just 5, but if you notice, those 5 are where all of our largest donor bases are. All of our alumni bases are in those 5 cities, mostly. So that explains that. So Nick Saban is doing the same thing, right? So a lot of these guys are rounding people up. This is the quote. It's about A&M. So first he says, Nick Saban says 25 players on last season earned NIL revenue totaling $3 million and did it the right way. He's speaking at a 50-day countdown event, the World Games in Birmingham. Saban, this is the one that everybody wants to hear. We were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. We didn't buy one player. I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. Shots fired to Jimbo, of course. And here's my issue with it all is obviously a lot of I'm in the NIL space. Been a real big last couple weeks, really. Another big day today. I can't wait to make these announcements, but once the ink dries, I will. But with stuff like this, I just don't get, because there really is, unfortunately, right now, there is no right way to do it, right? Anything that doesn't get you in trouble could really be the right way, right? So everybody knows A&M bought their class. Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time, and you don't get any arguments even anymore about that. The greatest college football coach of all time, straight up said A&M bought players. Everybody knows A&M bought players. So instead of Jimbo just saying, hey, you know what? We figured out a way for our donors to become more involved in our program, blah, blah, blah. And we're here to win championships, and we want to do whatever it takes within the rules to win championships. Instead of saying that, which everybody be like, cool. Like he could basically say, hey, sorry, you're poor. Like, it's not my fault that you're poor. Like, stop being poor, and maybe you can compete with us for some of these recruits we're buying. But the problem is, he says, well, and he's pissed. Well, that's a disservice to our coaches. That's disrespectful to the work that our coaches do. It's disrespectful to the traditions and all this. My staff, my recruiting staff does. Look, dog, you give me a duffel bag of cash, I can go land you a 5-star. I promise. I promise you. So, that's the problem. And I think that's what most people, and I think we can parallel it to Riley, to be honest, because Lincoln, if Lincoln would have said in the middle of the year, I'm not sure about my future at Oklahoma, there's some openings, I just want to get through this year, and then, we'll discuss some things. If he'd have said that, instead of just lying to our faces over and over and over, oh no, I just decided in 13 minutes, decided to move my family across the country in 13 hours, but I couldn't decide between Austin Kendall and Kyler Murray.
Facts. Big facts.
You lied. It's extremely obvious that you lied. Then the LA Times came out and said they were speaking since September. I mean, the fact that he said after the game, I will not be the next coach at LSU, as a deliberate way to say, well, I never said USC. I didn't lie. Yeah, you didn't lie, but you knew what you were doing. You were trying to instill confidence in OU fans, and then you were going to flip the script the next day, a week before signing day. And we all know, look, USC has been run poorly. There's no doubt about it. USC has been run poorly, but I think they have some struggles that aren't necessarily administration related, that have been keeping them from the top. They've had some fine leadership. You think that leadership is going to go the whole season without even saying a candidate was there? No, without interviewing, without nothing? That'd be insane. And they were just going to leave it up to a hope that Lincoln Riley liked their offer a week before signing day? Come on now. We would have heard other candidates. They were being oddly quiet the whole time. So we knew that was coming. So I guess enough of the hand wringing about Lincoln. We've done that enough, right? So, but that's why we're mad, is because Lincoln continues to lie to us about the timeline. Well, and now it's come out, Kane and Stogner and all these people have told either publicly or privately that like it was pretty obvious that something was up. So with Jimbo, that's what pisses us off about it. And I guess recruiting, it doesn't really piss me off. I mean, A&M can do whatever they want to do until I see A&M out here just mollywhopping teams like I see Alabama and Georgia and all these teams do. Like, I'm not going to worry about it. They beat Colorado 10-7 last year. Like, they lost to Mississippi State at home. Like, I'm sorry. You've lost out of the last 4 full seasons that Jimbo's coached, which one goes back to Florida State. He's lost 4 or more games. Like, I just don't feel like they're really a threat. But anyways, that's why everybody's annoyed at Jimbo. It's just come out and say it. Stop saying it's because you guys have such a tradition at Texas A&M that all these 5-star defensive linemen just wanted to stack down the depth chart. Really? What tradition? You haven't won shit since 1939.
Not one thing.
Like,
not one thing.
Like, it's terrible. Like, people write books. Kyle Umlang wrote a book about you, about how trash y'all have been, and it's your success, your history, ain't got none.
That's what people want. That's what people want. Yeah.
So Jesse was put us onto that. So I figured I'd talk about it a little bit. So I scrolled up. So the beard. I shaved the beard for my sister's barbecue, I read barbecue. Shaved the beard for my sister's wedding. My beautiful mother was like, "Hey, you should, you want to clean up a little bit for your sister's wedding." Blah blah. I was like, I sure. And it's hot. Like today at the PGA, if I'd have had full beard going, would have been a different day. But now I was light and clean, good to go.
Yeah, I'll never forget to shout out our good friend Jacob Major, who was with us early in the JP and Trav show a lot, doing some stats for us and gotten us some stats. I'm sure will in the future. So shout out to him. Hey guys, go ahead and drop some questions in the chat. Trav, I do have a question for you. I would like to talk about this Ashton Cozart thing, and I think it is a continuation of what we've talked about on the show for a couple of weeks, which is Brent Venables' process in recruiting. Which we talked about how Texas fans have a certain opinion about it, which they don't, whatever. But just go through that. What is going on with Ashton Cozart? What have you heard? And again, for people who maybe aren't super privy to it or maybe disagree with it, what would be your defense, if you could, of the way OU is doing recruiting right now?
Yeah. First of all, the way OU is doing recruiting, it's one of these things where it's expected. Like those of us that paid attention when we were talking about Clemson, how Clemson does it, I think Alabama's got like 3 players, 4 players. Like there's some other schools like with like minimal players. This is how it always happens. The teams that make people value their offer and don't jump the gun when a kid gets emotional. Because here's how visits go. It's perfect. I mean, it really is. When people say, "Oh, I heard the visit went well." Oh, heard the visit went well. Well, of course the visit went well. You're a kid walking into a full staff of people that are there to, be it your every need, anything like that, be super, super nice to you. They're selling you the program, right? You're walking through hallowed halls of some of college football's greatest players and coaches of all time. And you do that, you get caught up in the emotion. I mean, how many people, all right, we had 75,000 at the spring game. How many of them got emotional just seeing Baker? And we have nothing to do with the program, really. I mean, just caught up in the emotion of the game day and all those people and all this kind of stuff. Like, you expect a 17-year-old kid not to get caught up in that? And then he's like, "Man, this is, you know what? I could feel it, man. Right when I walk in, this is home." And then he tells previous staffs, "I'm committing." And there go the emojis. And they're like, "Oh, man, here we go." And then it becomes all right, you're committed to us, but you can take other visits, you can do whatever. Well, that's how you end up with an entire 2022 position group, like the wide receivers, decommit. We had 3 of them decommit, all of our receivers. And then you're like, we got to try and at the end of the year, try and recruit guys that we didn't have room for initially. So maybe we kind of put them on the back burner a little bit. And then, of course, in transfer portal area, you never put anybody back on the back burner because they might be in the portal 2 days later. We're about to see that with a certain recruit from Arizona State. And we recently saw that with JJ Hester, Booker T guy, 918 guy, absolute stud. So we're getting real deep at the wide receiver position, looks like, very quickly. So that's one thing to consider when we talk about wide receiver recruiting. It seems to be that these guys, they like Levy, so I'm not too, and Kale's a legend, so I'm not too concerned with wide receiver recruiting going forward. But I say all that to say the previous staff, there's 2 ways to do it, right? Like, we had good classes under Lincoln. You can't argue against that, right? But if you get them in early, the school of thought is you get them in early and then they can help recruit when they go to all these camps and, Elite this, Elite 11 and Rivals 5-star camps and everything like that. So you have them helping you recruit. But the problem is you can get a really highly rated class and then Kamar Wheaton flips or doesn't flip, but Kamar Wheaton randomly at the end goes to Alabama, or Jason McClellan flips, or you get wide receivers leaving the class, Drew Sanders, you have all these guys leaving because they were able to go get courted by another university. They could still get courted under Venables by this process, but it's harder to court somebody over text as opposed to having them try on the uniform and take the pictures and wear the championship rings and all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. It's bringing a lot of value to the offer and to the spot in the class. But this is how all the big dogs do it. Because we're all going for the guys that aren't making their decision until late. If you get a bunch of recruits that want to pull the trigger really early and then like they'll hang on, like, you could either say, you can spin it either way. You can say, oh, well, they just knew they wanted to be here and they just love us so much.
Yep.
Some of them might just be like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. Like, this is my best option no matter what. Like, so the big time 5-stars and whatnot, they're like, well, I mean, I'm going to have these guys keep recruiting me because I can go wherever the hell I want. They all want me. So I'm still very comfortable with where 2023 is going. I think Champ U is going to yield some fantastic results because all we keep hearing out of these events is that staff killed it. Everybody loves it. The energy, the vibes, however you want to say it, has done well. So I have no reason to believe that they will not knock this one out of the park as well.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, you look at it in recruiting, a lot of the times what happens is you have a plethora of 5-stars that are unsigned until the end. And so I think with the process that we're seeing now and our guys continuing to recruit, if you're not going to be sold, is okay. Because, the whole, we saw what happened with the last regime when we got left hanging, right? Like, I mean, how many times that happened in the running back room? Never happened in the quarterback room, really, I would say. But, I mean, Kamar Wheaton was one, which, that's neither here nor there. I think that was a kind of an enigma. But you also look at, man, how am I forgetting his name right now? Yes, Jason McClellan as well. Just missing out on some of those where it's like, if you can know that a guy's committed to you by your process, I think I'd rather do that. And it's not that there's deterring of visits. It's, hey, visit all you want, right? Do that now. When you know for sure you're ready to come back to me, and then you locked in.
Yeah, right? and that's the thing. And Venables will encourage you not to commit and to take your visits if you're not ready, because we've seen this happen. We actually saw it happen to somebody that ended up somewhere else last cycle in the 2022 class. Somebody wanted to commit. He said, hey, if you're ready to shut it down, you're ready to shut it down. But I know that, you plan on visiting Oregon. So if you plan on visiting Oregon, then I don't want you to commit. And the kid ended up at Oregon. So with specifically Cozart, for those of you that don't know, Ashton Cozart, 2023 wide receiver. Our wide receiver room got filled up early. If you remember, under Lincoln, we had a bunch of the DeAndre Moore and Brandon Ennis and all these guys in the class. Our wide receiver room filled up very quickly. We had, obviously, Mekhi Lemon. So with this, Cozart was always trending to. I mean, it has been a lengthy. He was at the Iowa State game last year. I remember seeing him on the sidelines. He's been to Norman a bunch. He's very close with Jackson Arnold. I still think I kind of share Parker's sentiments on this. I still think he ends up at Oklahoma. I think he goes and takes a visit. Cool. If he decommits, I think that's kind of the policy or whatever, the loose policy. I don't think they're going to pull an offer. That's the thing. Like, I don't know how they make a guy decommit,
right?
Like without pulling the offer. So that'll be something interesting to watch because we haven't seen that yet. We're still learning a lot of how Venables wants to do things. Is he going to be full blown Clemson, or is he going to kind of do his own thing? However, right. So I still think he ends up with us. I spoke with him last night very shortly. We've traded messages over the last year, I'd say. But I spoke with him last night because I saw the news, and then I saw on his Instagram feed, and I just reached out. I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "Until I know more, I'm gonna delete my tweet." And my tweet wasn't even saying like that he was decommitting or anything like that. I said, I quote tweeted the Rivals one, and I was like, if he does visit Oregon, then he will have to decommit per Venables rules. It'll be interesting to see if Cozart is the first casualty of this policy. So, I mean, nothing definitive, but he's like, "Hey man, I appreciate you taking that tweet down." Or he said, "Yes, sir." So I'm taking the tweet down. And he's like, "Yeah, I saw it. I appreciate it." So, but I was like, "So are you not visiting or what?" And then like I said it in a longer one. I was like, "So are you visiting?" Blah blah blah. And he didn't really answer it flatly.
Yeah.
So there's your answer. But but yeah, let's see, man. I get the slide going right here, and I always get it stuck. So that way it doesn't. We got a lot of comments. Next bunch. Yep, Alabama beat writer. Yep, we got that. Who replaces Cozart? It's a good question. To be honest, we've got Sean really wasn't with us. I mean, he was a Cali kid, Southern California kid, that wanted to play for Dennis Simmons, and that's what he's going to go do. So, Cozart said on Instagram it wasn't true, but it's, I don't know. He's not denying. He could deny news not being true without actively saying, "I will not be visiting Oregon."
I mean, we saw that happen literally after Bedlam.
Yeah, there's a way, and I'm not calling him a liar by any means or anything like that, but there's a way you can even word things or anything like that. And I don't think he was being deceptive by any means. I just think he wasn't expecting that report to come out, and then all of Sooner Nation jumped down his throat, and he's like, whoa, I just like, so anyways, until he tweets out something that's like gonna be in Oregon, with an edit or something like that, then I don't know. I'm not encouraging anybody to tweet about it, but
in a little bit of a refreshing question, how many guys will be wearing blue jerseys? Do you think these jerseys will excel or probably exceed Caleb's NIL deal? Those of you who haven't heard, you did pick up #1 JUCO quarterback General Booty. Literally, that's his name, General Booty.
General Booty, not specific booty, and not major booty or private booty, or Colonel Booty. General Booty.
No, nighttime, late call, whatever you want to say. General, just in general, broad scope. Oh man. Nah, I mean, I think, and I don't look, as far as I understand, he can play. But it's not, and not that I would ever accuse Levy of recruiting somebody that, is a name like that. But I know some people have said, "Are we just recruiting a guy because he has a crazy name?" Like, no.
Well, my thing is that the guy can obviously play. He's got good pedigree. His family's all the males in his family. They're all athletes. I mean, you saw his relative John David Booty, I believe, was on the 2003 team, something like that, for LSU. So, anyways, the guy can play. I mean, he sorry, I got to reply to this text. Like he can play. So it's one of those where what does the depth chart look like now, right? We have like 30 quarterbacks. So like obviously Dylan Gabriel's number one. You'd like to think Bevel's number two, and then you've got kind of a logjam at three with Evers. I would assume leading that race. You've got Evers, and then you've got Booty, Rucker, Bowens, like all these. Like we have a lot of quarterbacks, so
yeah,
I do think it's interesting. I thought Booty played at LSU too. Huh? That's weird. I wonder who I'm thinking of.
John David Booty.
Yeah, I just thought John David was at. I thought John David was at LSU for some reason. That's weird. So, anyways, it'll be interesting to see make a Booty call. Man, I still like we've talked about like when Venables comes out of the tunnel. And remember at the spring game, he just said "Boomer" and all like damn near 80,000. Suda. Well, like I just want him to just be like General, and then 80,000 just reply with Booty. I think that would just. I don't know. I think that'd be incredible.
That would be crazy. Like if he gets in or like a couple years down the road, like his injury, he comes in and he's like the next guy, and like he throws a touchdown pass and the PA announcer goes, "And that's a touchdown pass from General," and they're that'd be
it will be the loudest thing. His dad played for LSU though. That's what it was.
Tattoo. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out though. I promise.
Around Thanksgiving?
I'm coming down to it. I mean, that is the most likely because I will definitely be in Oklahoma for Thanksgiving. My mom obviously wants to see her granddaughter, and so she'll be old enough to kind of for us to come down. So that is more than likely. Though, if I can figure something out with my, like I said earlier in the show, building what I'm building, if I can get some help in the fall, maybe I can come for another one. I'd like to come for two if I could. That'd be fun. Maybe maybe I come to Red River. Maybe me and Trav hit up Red River. Who knows?
There we go. How close are you to Lincoln, Nebraska? Not Riley.
Not close. I'm probably just as far away from Lincoln as I am Norman. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up right now. Trav, do you want to speak a little bit about your radio show on Fridays? Most of you guys probably have seen the stuff that he's now got his own radio show from 3 to 6 on KREF 1400. So make sure you go and check that out. But I'll let you speak a little bit more to that one.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I've recently been hired on by KREF to be one of their hosts. I'm covering for Teddy from 3 to 6 on Fridays. This Friday, I'll actually be in Tulsa at Ash Cigar Lounge. We'll do cigar. I mean, I'll do all my remotes at places that are cigar lounges. We can do that all day. So going to be doing that from 2 to 6 this coming Friday because I'm covering for Parker too, who's off on vacation. So, anyways, I'll be doing 2 to 6 this week, 3 to 6 on, I don't know, whatever they're giving me, Jacob. 3 to 6 every Friday. And then we're in talks to where I'll do every pregame show and postgame show. I've been talking about it with Tyler. I don't think it's completely 100% set because we obviously have to get the remotes. Obviously, we'd like to be Pablo. I think that was a great time at the postgame show. But I would love to be doing pre and post game shows. It looks like that's what we're going to be doing. And we're trying to put some stuff together for some away games as a station. So we'll keep you posted on that once we decide to do some things, if we can do some things. I really like KREF's just been a lot of fun. I really like their approach to doing all things OU as opposed to, and everybody's got a different way to do it. Like it's kind of like we talk about like the recruiting styles. Like you can either go, and load up in a front end like Lincoln did, which obviously produces good classes, but then on the in the negative, sorry, got distracted. In KREF, they only talk about OU because 2/3 of the state are OU fans. So they are gonna, when you compete with podcasts that specialize like talking about OU sports all the time, like they're like, we can't just have somebody that's like, okay, we're gonna talk about OU, we're gonna talk about ORU, we're gonna talk about OSU, we're gonna talk about TU, we're gonna talk about high school, we're gonna talk about Thunder, we're gonna do all that kind of stuff. Like I can't imagine having to talk about all those things because you can't specialize, right? It's like going to Cheesecake Factory. Everything tastes the same because their menu is 35 pages long, right? You can specialize. So with that, love what they're doing, and they think outside the box. They're aggressive. They want to do cool stuff, memorable stuff, and I'm kind of their only Tulsa employee, I think. So I'm trying to build out this side of the market for them. We are on 14:30 a.m. if you're in Tulsa, but the best way to listen is the app. The KREF app is great. I mean, the signal's clear. You can listen to it anywhere. I've actually started listening to KREF app all day in my office as opposed to even going to the website or going to the radio or anything like that. So it makes it really easy to listen to the background and all that. So anyways, download the app, the ref, KREF. We're rebranding a lot because it was Sports Talk 1400, and then we're kind of changing over into the ref. So there will be some rebranding. So if you have it and you can't find it, it's because the logo changed to the little referee giving the touchdown sign on, but it looks like a radio signal. So anyways, download the app. Those are my plugs, but there will be a lot more news coming. And as we work out more stuff during the season, I've got some super exciting ideas that we've kind of pitched. And if our ideas come to fruition, then it's going to be a party. So
he's not lying.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So if that comes to fruition, so cross your collective fingers in the chat, and we'll get it popping. I'll make sure and take a picture of whatever cigar I'm smoking. So, man, I didn't get hired to start changing things, man. I'm an idea man. I thrive on enthusiasm.
I'm a big cigar guy. I need to. I haven't in about a year, but I'll share one with you anytime. Lincoln is, as I'm throwing my pen, Lincoln is about an hour less than.
I told you it was closer, man.
Well, I mean, the closest one would be West Virginia. I did go to the 2018. Yeah, I did go to the 2018 West Virginia game with Kyler. With my wife, Kirsten took me. She bought me, surprised me. It's about 5.5 hours away, and we actually have family that lives near Morgantown. Her nephew is actually getting married this summer in West Virginia.
You got it in Morgantown, man. I actually, at Red Rocks, I met the first ever West Virginia graduate that I've ever met. She's like, yeah, I went to WVU, and I was like, for some reason I was fascinated. I was like, man, that country roads, man. I didn't want to talk too much OU shit.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't want to start a fight in the middle of Red Rocks about college football, right? So, but I had the OU bucket on and whatnot, so she saw it. Anyways, but she was giving me recommendations for bars to check out while I'm in Morgantown, because I'm definitely going to be there. So if you want to come down for that one,
I mean,
I'm
too
many
not
more
opposed
games
to
in
that at
Morgantown,
all.
you know, in this conference. So we will likely have no more games in Morgantown in this conference if it keeps going this way. So yeah. I think I think we ought to put it on the calendar. But
I agree.
You talk.
And Jacob is keeping us a little bit on task, because this is the one of the bigger questions I did want to get to tonight, as we obviously look into the summer months coming up. This is a general question. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about this as we go through the weeks. But who, in your opinion, needs to have the biggest summer for OU? I think we've talked about position groups, but if we needed to say specifically one person who you're looking at to have the biggest summer, who would you say? And you guys put it in the chat too. I'll put it up here.
All right, I've got two, and they're quite obviously different categories. So my first one is Fad Turnip Seed. He needs to have a big summer because he needs to raise all that money so we can go to the SEC with nice big facilities, and we can get on with, all recruiting stuff and hiring more staff and all that kind of stuff. My second one, Trap House Boomin' beat me to it. Watch, they're going to list every player on the roster, so everybody's going to beat us to it before I bet. Andrew Rame is definitely who I need to have the biggest summer, only because he was injured for the spring, and that center quarterback exchange is everything, man. Like nothing can. I mean, it blows a whole series. If you can't get that down, and one fumble, we've seen it happen in Super Bowls. At the highest levels. Snap it over the head, boom, there goes all the momentum. We saw it happen in the Cleveland Pittsburgh game, and I'm not saying that Andrew Rame's going to start snapping over heads. There's no doubt about that, but I think that exchange is so important, and Andrew Rame is in charge of the whole offensive line, the center, and that's why we were so good with Creed. There will never be another Creed Humphrey. Don't get it twisted. But everything comes from that center position. He's got to call out everything to those guys. So the offensive line will only go as far as Andrew Rame will guide them. And again, specifically with him being out in the spring with that nagging injury, I think now he needs to have a big summer.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think I was going with Rame, but I did like my boy Richards one, Anton Harrison, which interestingly enough, I know PFF put out something where he had
top highest graded or top ranked.
Yeah, tackle since like Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown was better than him, but he was like just under him, and that was surprising for me because I think we saw a lot of times him last year just missing some blocks, not knowing what whiffing, and really Gabe was the one mainly spearheading that. Gabe Eichert, most of you know and love him. From Oklahoma Breakdown, former All-American center, not All-American. I don't know if he was ever All-American, but All-American in our hearts at the very least, center for Oklahoma in the early, for sure, all Big 12. But anyways, regardless, Gabe, was often broke down his play and said he has more to do, and they often it looked like he was loafing, doing different things. So it was interesting for me to see that. But honestly, I think that speaks to the potential that Anton has. And I think that's why he was able to be a left tackle at such a young age. Because Bill Bedenbaugh doesn't just throw anybody out there. Even though he didn't look great all the time, Bill obviously saw something. And so now you combine that with the strength and conditioning of Smitty, especially this summer coming up, messing with Smitty in the summertime, right? Hopefully Anton becomes a beast, and he's a completely I don't want to say different, because obviously he did show some flashes, but he just has way more consistency than he did last year. And I think if you can have Anton on that side, and if Wanya Morris can can, take that renewed mentality that he has to that right side, along with Rain in the center position. You already got Murray, and then if you add Matau or whoever at the left guard, I think you're looking at a very, very good offensive line.
Yeah, and I think both of us agree on offensive line. This team's only going to go as far as the offensive line, because when you look at pass rusher, Downs and Stripling for me are going to be in the backfield the whole time. Not to mention the rest of our defensive line depth. And I know that we got those new coaches ramping them boys up. Jordan Kelly going to have a big season. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
The linebackers, you never have any doubt with Brent Venables and TD Roof coaching those guys. And I mean, we've got a lot of depth in the secondary. They're pretty young. But yeah, that offensive line, man, you got a bad offensive line. Then, I mean, look at Texas, look at USC, look at the reason you see these teams and you think, how on earth can that team lose that many games? And then you look up and the team has 9 sacks against them, and you're like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But yes, LV Bunkley Shelton did just commit 3 minutes ago to Oklahoma. So
hey,
gotta love that.
A live commitment. You gotta love that.
I know it's I love as the drama is around the recruiting, specifically in the wide receiver room, that we get a transfer out of the portal. And what's crazy is that we were able to get a guy. We're able to get a guy out of the portal. Former 4-star, ranked right around where Ashton Cozart is right now. And obviously he's older. He doesn't have the eligibility. And I know I'm definitely not saying that we don't need Ashton Cozart. Like, let me be clear.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. But that's the thing. Like, you had a guy like that, and you look at JJ Hester, who's got plenty of eligibility left. LV definitely feels like a plug and play type of guy. He's a stud. So tell you what, and what's cool about this is one of the things that you look for when you're trying to recruit is a track record, right? Well, right now, Levy doesn't have a track record at OU. It's very easy to negatively recruit against him. You can be like, oh, it's Lane Kiffin's guys. Oh, it's just Lane Kiffin's guys. So you need an offensive coordinator to have success under a defensive head coach. And if he does that, then recruiting wheels will come off, because you'll say, I mean, Lincoln Riley was getting dudes to commit to OU after our leading receiver had 38 receptions, dog. Like, was not throwing to the freshman All-American the year before, was not throwing to Marvin Mims at all. And it's like, dog, like, this guy was picking up wide receivers. So that's where it's like, if Kale and Levy and these guys start getting these wide receivers and like showing out and putting up some big time yardage, big time touchdowns, big time targets, most importantly, because if you get guys targets, wide receivers, they're highly confident. You have to have a big old ego to play wide receiver, defensive back or wide receiver. So with that being said, if you get them targets, they'll tell you, I'll catch them. Just get the ball coming my way. I'll come down with it. So I think that's important, because I think there's a lot of guesswork right now going, okay, well, how's the spread going to be, right? Like, what's the spread of targets going to be? Yeah. So, but that's exciting, man. That means 2 former 4-stars that have college football experience coming in, and they both can go. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, the Cole Adams thing's, it's interesting. I think, I'd like to have him, but at this point, you're trying to think, maybe as the ship sailed. I don't think it's personally sailed. I still think if we offer Cole, then we're automatically right near the top of his list. But the staff is going to have to really, really have some conversations with him about why it took so long. And they're going to have to be very convincing. So,
yeah.
I mean, the daring pastry 13-13, and Cole's still on the table. Of course, Cole's still on the table. But, and they said when he came down, we'll come see you in the spring. but it just seems. I mean, I don't know. I know we're not the type to just offer somebody because somebody else offered them, but
Right.
there's more. There's more to it. That it's been a conversation on the radio, on the message boards, on the JP and Trav show, on Twitter. It's been a conversation about Cole Adams. He's been trending with OU Twitter for months and months. So there's something more than just, we just hadn't been down to see him. It's no big deal. We'll just go get him then. So it's like there's something else going on. So
yeah,
we got more questions. Let's keep pushing.
Richard wants to know if you think we can get both Stacey Gage and Richard Young in the running back room.
Gage, yes, I am. Gage I believe is coming to Oklahoma, but Richard Young I believe is Ohio State bound. Personally, we could see how this changes at the official, but I've got a good insider at Ohio State that he thinks Richard Young has been a Buckeye for a while. I would love to be proved wrong, and I would love even more to rub it in that guy's face that he was wrong. But we'll see.
There's another question that was a little bit further up. Again, from Richard, the last question he asked was, can you see Hester, another recent wide receiver commit we got within the last week, breaking to the top 3 in terms of the depth chart?
Absolutely. I think that, when you say top 3 in the depth chart, I don't know if you mean starting at one of the 3 wide receiver positions, if that would be top 3, or if you mean top 3 on a 3 deep as opposed to a 2 deep. But anyways, I think that he will finish 3rd in most major stats behind Mims and Weiss. We'll see what Jalil Farouk has to say about that. But those are really those kind of guys. I think eventually he will get starting reps. Depends on position wise, what they want to run with, right? But I'm thinking Mims, Weiss and Hester. That's pretty salty. But then, LV coming through here now, going to be with us through the summer. We'll see how quickly he can pick up the offense. He's on limited time, so he's gonna be in there, and he came to Oklahoma for a reason because he's not a guy that just gave up on his NFL dreams. He came here for a reason. He still plans on pursuing those. So they must have told him something about being featured or something like that. So
and I think it's crazy. Like if you think about back to as people want to know what type of chips you eat. If you think about back to a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about it. Like a lot of people were freaking out, but I swear, I know there's some people were talking about how thin it seemed like our wide receiver room was, even though we had a lot of talent, obviously, packed in there. But now you're adding J.J. Hester and L.V. Bunkley to a room that already features Leo Weiss, Marvin Mims, Jalil Farouk, Greg Stoops. What's the first? Jaden Gibson, like blanking on the freshman's name. Just to name a few, obviously, that are already out there, and Nick Anderson too. So you add that group. Now it takes, I think, pressure off of a Jaden Gibson and a Nick Anderson to have to produce, because as we said many times on this show, you don't want a freshman out there, right? If everything's going right,
it does a disservice to them.
Yeah, exactly. You want a better guy out there, not where is he at? Is he not? No, like we live in a microwave society now, so everybody wants it right now. That's not how it should work in great programs. They work like that at Bama for the most part, unless they're really that exceptional, right? So again, ultimately, I think it's going to be the best thing for OU in the wide receiver room. Personal thoughts on DJ Lagway?
My favorite 2024 quarterback. I know there are others that are quite interested in us. Hawkins is definitely got to watch. And I think he's in an area. He's Allen, of course, home of Mr. Kyler Murray, Lee Morris, and others. I think with recruiting, it's okay if you have a guy that is ranked out of 10 on your personal recruiting scale is at a 9.9, and he plays in a less talent-rich region, or you have a guy that's a 9.7, but he's got a lot of good relationships with a lot of guys at some major type pipelines. What do you take, right? Do you trust that the 9.9 will attract elite talent, or do you go with the 9.7 and try and establish a pipeline? So I think that's a little bit of what we'll deal with in the 2024 class. But I'm all in on DJ Lagway. Hawkins is fantastic. There's no doubt about it. He's the only person to have started as early as Kyler started, I think, in like Allen history. So good company. I'm not saying that he's going to be Kyler Murray, but it's good company. Be interesting because Chad Morris is leaving Allen. So you want to monitor kind of the head coaching, offensive coordinator type situation, because that'll affect obviously Hawkins' development throughout his career. But yeah, big DJ Lagway guy to be on. I mean, big time.
And from a little bit of what you were talking about earlier with your golf outings, who will win the PGA Championship?
Abraham Answer. Boomer. You guys come back to the state of Oklahoma to do some damage, man. Tell you what. But yeah, I think I don't know. Unfortunately, Scotty Scheffler, Longhorn, has been playing out of his mind. I saw DeChambeau withdrew, which is fantastic. But yeah, I like Abraham Answer a lot. So since I'm not going to be held accountable on my golf takes, I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Oh man. Well, guys, we're a little bit over an hour, which is fine.
Richard asked twice about a breakdown of Mosey. I don't have like a full film like recruiting breakdown, but he's young. He's 2025 class, so you have to realize that he's going to be going into his sophomore year, right? So he's going into his sophomore year, the spring of his sophomore season. But as a true freshman, he was often the best player on the field, running away from dudes, scoring from far, as the hashtag likes to say when Levy score from far. Mosey will be I hate saying this about 2025 guys, but I truly do believe Ravian Larry and Isaiah Mosey will both be 5 stars. So he's a flat out stud. Obviously, he's a legacy. He's been to campus recently. He was a little bit upset. So maybe some miscommunication had to get cleared up about the offer, when the offer was going to come. But it seems like the offer was right on time now when the staff was talking about it. So they wanted to offer him. They wanted to offer him early. They did offer him early, and it will be full court press on that guy because he's good, and he's a guy that will be able to bring other guys from his area with him. Good answer. Yeah. But yeah, I don't have a breakdown as far as like, but he's 6 foot. He's like 170, 175 probably now. His last measurements were probably like freshman year. So as most of us did, we grew between our freshman and sophomore years of high school. So you can't think that it won't happen with that guy. So yeah, J-Ro will be joining very shortly. Next few weeks, I think first week of June, maybe something like that. So
can't wait to see him. And that guy,
he's gonna be so good. He just won the 6A state title in the 100 and the 200 at like 220. I mean, because he's 210 on his page, but I think he's closer to like 218, 220.
So
Fastest guy in the state, fastest sprinter in the state, that size.
That's nuts. I have an 8th grader right now. So I go my school is K through 12. I have an 8th grader right now that I don't use this lightly when I say it. I don't know what he wants to do, whether it's track or football. I know he plays running back because my school doesn't have a team, so he plays with another school's team. We allow them to do that for football because we don't have a team. But anyways, I never saw him play. I didn't get a chance to go see him play, but he'd always tell me, Coach, like I had like 250 yards rushing, whatever. Track season hits. And Jacob, since you're in the chat, you'll appreciate this. So as an 8th grader, he just jumped, and he's going at the state meet this week. He jumped 21 feet in the long jump. And he's running like an 11-1, 100 right now. And he ran like, huh?
As an 8th
grader.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. And I think he ran a 23-8, 200. And so like his trajectory is like, and I don't know what he wants to do ultimately, but whether it's track or football. But I'm just saying, so y'all know, if I have anything to do with it, if he's still in my school, ain't no tampering going on. I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna say, hey, oh, wrong way. Oops. Hey, big dog. You ever thought about OU? Go ahead and take a visit down there. I may bring him with me. I don't know. We'll see. But
tell that kid to do track and football. Don't listen to Jacob.
He can do both. He can do both. There's been plenty. It's fine. But yeah, he's a freak athlete, without a doubt. So like I said, I don't just say that about anybody. I'm not just gonna be like try to pump one of my kids up. He's really like he's one of the best athletes I probably ever.
Are you gonna be that shady uncle?
Huh? You said that shady uncle?
That shady uncle that like determines where all these kids go.
Hey, look, I give them the opportunities that they want, but you got to show them OU too. They know I'm a big proponent of it, so I won't force nothing. But nah, I just thought that'd be cool to share. He's a good kid, but we'll see. Hopefully he stays healthy and doesn't get wrong. But Trav, you got anything you want to say, brother, before we head out?
I don't think so, man. Appreciate y'all, coming through. As always, please share this, like it, give us the follows, all that good stuff. And again, shameless plug, tune on the app on Friday, the KREF app on Friday from 2 to 6, and send in some questions. We have a text line. I'll tweet out the number. But it's a text line, and that's what we read during the show. It's not a call-in. Like, we don't do call-ins because we can screen, because a lot of people say, weird stuff now to get attention. But we get the text line, shout-outs, all that kind of stuff. So a lot like this is what it looks like. So, yeah, go Abraham answer. And go men's golf team that just shit all over the competition today. They were 6 down to Auburn going into the last day, which was today, and they ended up winning by I think 10 strokes.
That's crazy.
Just silly.
That's silly.
Yeah. Cool. Do you got anything for us, JP?
Yeah, I'm just saying, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe as always. I know a lot of you come in here, and those of you that will come in here when you watch it the rest of this week, make sure you like the video so that I can pick it up, so people can see it more. Make sure you share it. Tell people to come in here and join with us. We'll be back here next week as always. Obviously, the softball teams got their regional this weekend, first one, which we expect. I mean, they got a really good draw, so I expect them to blow through it. Obviously the big question is whether Jordy's going to be healthy or not. I don't think they're going to use her regardless. But yeah, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all back here in a week. Boomer.
See you guys.